In this video, I'm going to share with you 3 stalls that had deadly consequences.
Your airspeed's alive. Your indicators are showing green. I'm in maintain 8,000. 65 rotate. She's flying.
Missouri Nation, day 15 of the 31-day Safer Pilot Challenge. Somewhere in the middle of this video, you will be halfway. This will be a longer video, but I promise you it'll be worth your time. Check in the comments now. Just do it ahead of time. Hey, Jason, I am 15 for 15. Sit back, grab some popcorn. This is going to be a longer video, but it's going to have a profound impact on the way you fly. Obviously, if you're 15 for 15, I'm assuming you watched day 14 yesterday. We practiced stalls to practice recoveries. But the purpose of this video is to take that theory much, much deeper. In fact, we just scratched the surface yesterday because with my private pilot eyes back in the day, I just thought stalls were things that happened when I pitched the nose too high and it fell and I kept going. And that was my idea of a stall. You pick the nose up too much and you stall. And in my limited thinking, I thought that's the only way an airplane could stall, right? It's always pilot induced, it's always these things. But today, I'm going to share with you 3 very different accidents. But they all have one thing in common. All 3 aircraft stall. However, the reason why they stall, there's nothing related to those. They are all over the place as to why the aircraft stall. And in fact, none of them stall like how you and I have been practicing it. They stall so differently and they stall for so many different reasons. And that's what I want to illustrate here today. So I don't want to waste any more time. Our animation team has worked so hard on this, and Coach Ray with his edits. So thank you, team. You think these videos are good? You think these animations are cool? Wait till you see inside the online ground school. Hey, ground school members, by the way, saying hi to you and giving you a shout out. Future ground school members, we'll see you in there as well. Let's dive into it. Let's start with KLM 433. KLM 433, it's a Saab, as you can see. What happens is they end up getting a false low oil pressure warning at altitude. They were in the teens as far as flight levels go, 16, 17,000. They get this false low oil pressure warning, but it's actually caused by a short circuit. Now, if I got a low oil pressure warning, it's going to bother me a little bit too. So they go into troubleshooting mode. They don't realize it's caused by this short circuit. So they consult the emergency checklist, which I'll read to you here in just a bit, which included bringing the throttle back to idle. However, as you'll see when I read the CVR, the crew misinterprets a further decrease in oil pressure as the engine was failing more, but the reason they lost more oil pressure is because, well, they pulled the throttle back, right? You've done this before in your run-up. The oil pressure moves from a taxi up to a run-up, and the oil pressure moves based on that. Take action, says the captain. The co-pilot says, okay, take action. Emergency checklist. Engine and propeller, engine oil pressure low. That's checklist 15B. All right, 15B. Engine oil pressure low. Engine oil and prop oil pressure, check. Well, engine oil pressure, this is the one, this is slightly lower than the other one, but it's decreasing. That's because they pulled it back to idle. Oil pressure is decreasing more. Back to our story. Yes, says the captain. Okay, it's decreasing, says the co-pilot. If only prop oil pressure apply, you see all these uhs in here, that's adrenaline dumping. The cognitive function leaves us when we have that adrenaline in there. If only prop oil pressure low, apply propeller oil pressure low procedure. Well, that's not the case. Co-pilot still thinking out loud. Then next, oil pressure, control warning panel light on, or oil pressure below 30 PSI. That's not the case, says the captain. But it's still nominally in the green. That's what's so strange. That's funny, isn't it, says the co-pilot. Yes, it is, says the captain. But it's decreasing, Captain. Engine oil pressure light on, or captain says, yes, but we're not gonna go continue with this. No, says the co-pilot. Engine oil pressure, well, light or below 30 PSI. That's not the case. So of the 2 things, if so, then you may continue. But if they are both on, so the light is on and the pressure is below 30, they must be shut down. Okay, says the captain. Captain says, well, what do we have then? It's above 50. Yes, says the co-pilot. and the pressure warning is, yes, the light is on, says the co-pilot. So the light is on or below 30. Those were the two conditions to execute this checklist. Is the light on and is it below 30? That wasn't the case. It was at 50, but the light was actually on. Captain says, okay, the checklist says continue normal operation. Yes, says the co-pilot. Co-pilot, I also think, though, that because you're flying at idle, that because of that, and you have less problems at idle than you would have otherwise. Yeah, says the captain. Trim's all the way to the left. 500. Hey, watch your speed. They're coming back around for landing. And despite what the checklist said, continue normal operation, meaning bring that throttle back up, they've chosen to leave that back at idle. So now we're coming in to land. They are all over the place here, dealing with that asymmetrical thrust. The co-pilot calls out 500. Watch your speed, says the co-pilot as they're coming in. Captain comes on, going around. As you can see, they're so far off. Executes a go-around, but leaves the idle engine at idle, and now executes a go-around. As soon as the go-around happens, you hear the stall warning horn. Stall warning horn then comes off. Then the stall warning horn comes back on, followed by impact. What on earth caused this crash? Well, improper checklist usage was a bit of it. Executing a go-around and forgetting about asymmetrical thrust and really spinning the airplane over, forgetting our basic multi-engine procedures, and it led to a stall. A circuit breaker crashed this airplane. A lot of things crashed this airplane, but it started with a silly circuit breaker. Remember I think it was Eastern Airlines that crashed in the Everglades over a light bulb when they're on their 3 green, their landing gear position indicators, when their lights was out and they were just messing with it the whole time, and crashed because of a light bulb. This crashed because of a circuit breaker, to put it in plain terms, but it's so much more than that, isn't it? Can you see how much more that is? The final report from the Netherlands Aviation Safety Board found that pilot error through inadequate use of the flight controls due to unequal throttle go-around resulted in loss of control, was the primary cause of the accident. In addition, the report included recommendations at KLM regarding contributing factors, addressing improved CRM, crew resource management, improved pilot assessment techniques, and improved guidance on flying with an idle engine. Here's the kicker. In addition, the report found that the crash was generally survivable, with the captain's death being attributed to not wearing his shoulder harness. Takes it a step further, right? When next time you put that shoulder harness on. Let's look at another one here. This is AirAsia 8501. You probably remember when this happened. The aircraft crashed into the Java Sea, and it literally took weeks until they found anything, if you remember them searching for this aircraft. So at 6:11, the pilots turned 15 degrees to the left to avoid weather and contacted Jakarta Air Traffic Control to request a climb to flight level 380. At 12,000 meters, 38,000 feet, for the same reason, they requested that climb. The controller could not give immediate permission for this due to other aircraft in the vicinity and instructed them to wait. While they were waiting for permission to climb, the rudder limiter problem occurred for a third time. So they're having this warning with this rudder limiter problem and just couldn't figure it out. They're trying to find different ways to turn this off. On the third time, the captain decided to reset the flight computers. With the memo displayed for the fourth time, the captain decided to reset the circuit breaker this time because he'd previously seen this action done by a ground engineer and believed it was okay to do so in flight. Well, those circuit breakers were reset at 6:16 and 45 seconds with immediate consequences. As to this action, not only the reset, but also it disconnected the autopilot and the auto throttle, and the flight control law changed from normal to alternate and allowed the aircraft to roll to the left. And by this time, the first officer reacted. By the time he reacted, the plane was already at 54 degrees, banking, turning to the left. "Did you put on the ignition start?" said the co-pilot. I have the flight controls. This ignition start just came on. This is when they made the circuit breaker change. They heard the autopilot disconnect warning go off. Now they see the ignition start light on in front of them. What is that? Says the captain. We haven't got a good display, says the first officer. I haven't got a good display of speed. Wait, we're losing. Why did we just lose wing anti-ice? Okay. I'm going back down, says the co-pilot. We're going back down. What is that? Says the captain. We're in a climb. I'm Toga, he says. Toga, take off and go around, trying to initiate this as quickly as possible. But we've got the engines. What's happening? Do you understand what's happening or not? Finally says. I don't have control of the airplane anymore. I don't have any control of the airplane at all. Controls are to the left. I have the impression we have too much speed. What are you doing? Says the captain. We are losing control of the airplane, says the co-pilot. So take that, says the captain. I have a problem. I don't know. I don't have a vertical speed indication, says the co-pilot. I have no more displays. All right, says the captain. I have the impression that we have some kind of crazy speed. What do you think? No, I don't think so. So we're still going down, says the co-pilot. There, I don't know. It's going down, says the captain. Well, there you are. Okay, that's good. We should be wings level. No, we're not. The captain says, the wings to the flat horizon. Use the standby horizon. Okay, says the co-pilot. Am I going down now? Says the co-pilot, first officer. No, you're climbing. I'm climbing. Okay, so we're going down. No, you're climbing. Okay, we're Toga. Again, Toga, take off, go around. What do we have here? Says the co-pilot. Do we have altitude? What altitude do we have here? What altitude? What do you mean you're on altitude? No, yeah. I'm going down. No? Yes, you're going down. Captain, hey you. Get the wings horizontal. That's what I'm trying to do, says the co-pilot. Get the wings horizontal, says the captain. I'm at the limit with the roll, says the co-pilot. The rudder bar, says the captain. We're there. This is the co-pilot talking. We're there. We passed level 100. Wait, let me have the controls. Wait, what is this? How are we continuing to go down? It won't do anything, says the captain. At level 100, 9,000 feet, captain says, careful with the rudder bar there. But I've been max nose up for a while. No, don't climb, says the captain. Go ahead, you have the controls. We're still in Toga. Captain, okay, autopilot off. Watch, you're pitching up there, you're pitching up. Co-pilot says, well, we need to. We're now at 4,000 feet. You're pitching up. Some time goes by, the captain finally goes, go on and pull now. Let's go, pull up. We're going to crash. This can't be true, says the co-pilot. But what is happening? The captain's last words were 10 degrees, pitch attitude. And that ends our cockpit voice recording. I know you've heard of this crash. It made national news as they scrambled and they thought maybe it was terrorism, maybe it was weather, maybe it was all of these things. Or you know what it actually came back to? Maybe these first two accidents did have something in common. A circuit breaker. One was short in the first one. This one was tripped on purpose in flight when it shouldn't have been. And you know how an Airbus can be sometimes. It is a flying computer. And when you pull power, just because you saw a ground engineer reset it on the ground where a ground engineer is, doesn't mean you should do that in flight. There's checklists for all these things. And from there, they lost complete control of the aircraft. And you saw, or you heard as well, I'm pitching up, but I'm losing altitude. What does that sound like? It ended up being a flat spin is what it essentially was. They were flying so slow, they couldn't tell how slow they were actually going. We don't have a lot of data on the flight controls because of pulling that circuit breaker. We have their voices, but all we really have from all of that. But from what it sounds like to me, it's a flat spin with some bad CRM and some poor action by a 20,000-hour captain. Stall that had deadly consequences. Let's look at another very, very interesting one here. Emery Worldwide Flight 17. This is a 1968 DC-8 cargo plane. Listen to this. The plane has 84,447 flight hours on it. She's been flying a lot. As the aircraft will reach its V1 speed, the captain's going to call out rotate. The pitch then increases from 0.2 to 5.3 degrees. Data from the control column indicated the crew at the time was still applying forward movement to the control column, nose down input, but somehow the nose continued to raise upwards, and the crew added more force to the control column from 14 degrees to 17 degrees. The aircraft reached V2 and began to lift off. Immediately after the aircraft lifted off the runway, the aircraft entered a left turn, and the first officer quickly stated that Flight 17 would be returning to Sacramento. The engine speed began to decrease, and the stick shaker activated for the first time. The captain declared an emergency on Flight 17, believing a load shift had occurred. It's a cargo airplane after all. The aircraft began to move erratically, and the elevator deflection and the bank angle began to decrease and increase respectively. The aircraft began to descend. Let's go back to that takeoff. 80 knots. 80 knots confirmed. You hear the sound of two clunks. Strange. Elevator checks. First sound louder than the second, and you hear this ratcheting noise. V1, rotate. Familiar sound finally. The stabilizer trim going on alert there. V2, same sound continues. Pause the rate. I got it. You got it? Yep. All right. You hear the sound, two clicks. All of a sudden, we're going back, says the co-pilot. What's the number? CG's way out of limits here. Do you want to pull? Do you want me to pull the power back? You hear the decrease in RPMs as he's asking and doing it simultaneously. Push forward, says the captain. Emory 17 emergency. Emory 17 Sacramento departure. Radar contact. Say again. You steer. I'm pushing. This is the co-pilot talking now. 17 has an emergency. We're sinking. We're going to go down, guys. There's a flight engineer involved in this as well. Emory 17, go ahead. You hear the increased RPM. You hear the terrain pull up ahead of you, going off. All right, push, just push. Okay, so, all right, now we're going back up. You hear another sound of two clumps. Very strange sounds here. There you go. Now roll out. Roll out. You hear the sound of a strained exhale from their voice. Emory 17, extreme CG problem. This is broadcast now to Sacramento. Emory 17, roger. Anything I can do, guys? This is the flight engineer talking. Roll out to the right, says the captain. Okay, push forward. You hear them literally grunting as they're trying to push this thing forward. You hear the airplane really creaking. Okay, you got the trim maxed? Power. You want more? Yeah. Pull up. You hear the terrain warning annunciator going off. Left turn. Okay. What I'm trying to do is make the airplane's position match the elevator. That's why I'm putting in the bank. All right, says the captain. Okay, left turn. So we're gonna have to land it in like a turn. Bring it around. You hear the sound of the stick shaker. Bring it around. And you hear them working with this. You got the airport? Yeah, bring it around. You hear the sound of a snap. Terrain, pull up. Power, says the first officer. Then the sound of impact thereafter. An investigation by the National Transportation Safety Board revealed that during the aircraft's rotation, a control rod to the right elevator control tab detached, causing a loss of pitch control. The NTSB further found that an incorrect maintenance procedure, which was implemented by Emory Worldwide Airlines, introduced an incorrect torque loading on the bolts that were supposed to connect the control rod. The NTSB released its final report in 2003, 3 years after the accident. The report stated that the crash of Flight 17 was caused by a detachment of the right elevator control tab. This disconnection was caused by the failure to properly secure and inspect the attachment bolt. 15 recommendations were issued by the NTSB. One of these was to evaluate every DC-8 on U.S. soil to prevent further crashes that could be caused by the disconnection of the right elevator tab. The FAA subsequently found more than 100 maintenance violations by Emory Worldwide, including one that caused another accident on April 26, 2001. That was a landing gear emergency. No fatalities, but still an accident. Emory Worldwide grounded its entire fleet permanently on August 13th, 2001. And if you do some research, is no longer in business. And maintenance did that one to them, and I'm sure many, many other things. 3 very unique accidents, 3 stalls, as you can see, as it related to everything. But all 3 of those stalls were not the typical, let's simulate a stall and let's practice our recovery. Now, some pilot errors, some maintenance errors, some failures of the pilots to conduct an appropriate pre-flight. Now, I don't know how you get up there and see on a DC-8, it's elevator control rod, but right, there's still a responsibility to check all of this. I hope what you walk away from with all of this is stalls don't just occur like we practice them. Stalls come in all shapes and sizes. Sometimes we induce them, sometimes we pull a circuit breaker and cause spatial disorientation and everything else to set in after we lose control of the aircraft. We as pilots have to be good pilots who are always learning, masters at our craft, pursuing excellence in everything that we do. We can't just be thankful we passed a written test and passed a check ride. A good pilot is always learning is not just a catchy slogan, it's something to truly live by. Gone to the days of currency and proficiency. You should be in the business of pursuing aviation mastery. And at M0A.com, it's our prayer before every video that we save just one life. And I hope that this is that video for somebody out there. This is the wake-up call to say, I need to take my studies seriously. I need to get back into it. I need to call a flight instructor. I need to get an M0A's online ground school. I need to do something. Let today, halfway through the 31-Day Safer Pilot Challenge, be the day you take action on your dream of being a pilot or action on increasing your safety and making 2022 your safest flying year yet. The M0A team didn't work for months to make 31 videos just to, get a bunch of YouTube and Facebook stats. We did it to save lives, and we did it to challenge you all to be safer, smarter pilots. M0A Nation, if you feel we're doing that, will you throw the M0A team some encouragement in the comments as well? Y'all are such a blessing to us, and those comments are the oxygen to everything we do here. Have an incredible, blessed, amazing, outstanding rest of your day, and most importantly, remember that a good pilot is always learning. Have a great day, everybody. I'll see you. So I know you're loving the 31-Day Safer Pilot Challenge, but did you know I'm live on Facebook every Saturday with a little show we call In-Flight Coffee? Look at that beautiful coffee mug right there. Every Saturday on Facebook at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, I make a cup of coffee and then just hang out with you all, drink that coffee and talk aviation with you for about an hour. It's only on Facebook. Saturdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Check it out. It's called In-Flight Coffee on the main M0A Facebook page. Maybe I'll see you there this Saturday.